Hey, what's up everyone? My name is Murli and welcome back to the AWS Cloud demo. Today we will look into the ECS cluster. So we will deploy our ECS cluster into our custom VPC using AWS CLI or ECS CLI. Okay, and also we will use a Cloud Formation template so that we will create our VPC and ECS, and we will use EC2 type to launch our containers. Okay, so I have a Docker image which is hosted on my repository, and I will walk you through all those images that I'm going to deploy into my EC2 instance in my ECS cluster. So before that, I just want to give a brief introduction about what we are doing today. So we need to install the latest version of AWS CLI. So here's the page. I'm going to link this page into the description box below so that you will be able to run the AWS CLI install and update instructions, and then please run this in your local machine. Okay, and then we will also look into some code samples. If you look into the code samples, I will tag this link in the description box below, so you can see what we are going to run through, some of the commands that so that you can spin up your containers in your custom VPC. Okay, and if I go to the tab here, which is so for those who are using the Mac system, so they can use the Homebrew formula, so that you can simply install the Amazon ECS CLI using the brew command. Okay, and I will also link this, and if I go to Amazon ECS CLI in this repository, you can see the installation instructions here. You can download the files and just run it based on your system architecture. For example, if you're using Linux, just use ARM64. If Linux, this one, use AMD64. So choose your operating system, download it, and try and run this command so that your ECS CLI will be installed. Okay, and if I go to this code base, I will walk you through what I've done. So basically, here this is the CloudFormation template for creating our VPC. So basically what we are doing here is we are creating a environment name my ECS as env. This is our parameters, and we are going to create our CIDR, which is this one. So you can choose your CIDR. Basically I have chosen mine. So basically you can create your public and public subnets, okay, inside your VPC. So I strongly advise you to go through the VPC, anything that you want to learn on VPC. Okay, I'm not going to cover that in this part of video because VPC itself is a huge concept. So I'm assuming that you have already have a better knowledge on VPC so that you can understand this video. So otherwise it can become very difficult for you to understand. So this is basically an advanced video of the ECS and VPC stuff, right? So here you can see we are creating the public subnet, we are creating the two public subnets, okay, and then we are creating our internet gateway, and we have created our internet gateway attachment. So we have created our route table. We are going to create our custom infrastructure, okay, for VPC. So for this, go ahead and open up this repository and open up this readme in the preview mode, like so that you can see the command what we are going to run now, right? So we have used AWS CLI, so you simply run AWS Cloud Formation, and the stack name that we are going to create is ECS core infrastructure. This is the name of our core infrastructure, and this is the file we are going to use it for setting up our infrastructure. Okay, so for this to run, right, all that you have to do is you go ahead and open up your console, and if I go to the users, I mean in the IAM, click on IAM and go to the users. I've created a user, right? So I wanted to make sure that you create this user, any user that you want. This is my user, so I've created a name called Bobby, and if you click on that, right, I've given some permissions, like one is administrative access, another one is Amazon ECS full access, so that my user will be able to access the ECS and also has some administrative access. Okay, and if you go to security credentials, you can download your security credentials and download your access keys, so that we will set up our user inside the AWS inside our terminal. Okay, so go to security credentials and you will be able to download the CSV file where you will contain the access key and also the access secret. So how do you configure a user in your local terminal? So I'm going to my terminal, and what you can do is you simply do AWS configure command, and it will ask you, it will prompt for the access key and the series secret and your default region. Make sure you are in the same region as your profile and use your AWS secret, so that you know whatever the resources that you create, just make sure you are creating in the same region. Okay, so I'm not going to do it here because I've already done it. So all that you have to do is just set up your AWS configure in your local machine, and that's it, you're done. So going back to the code, so where I can see that I have created this core infrastructure, right? So we are going to set up our VPC, okay, custom VPC. So copy this command like so, and open up your terminal. Continue working on. Maybe just go back to the terminal wherever you have. So I'm already in this directory where I can create my infrastructure, right? So open the README and copy this command, and let's see. Yeah, there you go. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to create a stack with a stack name, which is ECS core infrastructure, and this is the template body that we just walked through on the core infrastructure, right? So I'm just going to hit enter. Make sure I'm in the core infrastructure directory. So when you're trying to create your own VPC using a cloud formation, just make sure you're referring to the correct file, okay, and hit enter. And you should be able to see that our stack has been created with the cloud formation, and in the same region that I was saying, that my region is US East 1, and then this is my ID. And if I go back to the console like so, where's my console? Yeah. So here, if I go to cloud formation, click on cloud formation, and you should be able to see our infrastructure is in progress. So this will take some time. Okay, so this will create all the resources that this needs. So you can see our VPC is created, our public subnets are created, and internet gateway attachment. So everything is created, right? So that we are setting up our infrastructure so that we will deploy our ECS cluster in our VPC in a moment after once it's done. Okay. Refresh a couple of times and go to stack info or refresh here. So you can see now our infrastructure has been created, and our ECS core infrastructure, right? So it has also provisioned all the resources that we need for our demo. Okay, so now the VPC is done, VPC is ready. So what is the next step? I will go back to my code, and so we have created this core infrastructure, and I will be using another directory where I have created another CloudFormation template, where you can see what we are doing here is we are creating a ECS cluster with a EC2 instance type. Okay, and we are provisioning t2.small EC2 instance, and these are allowed values. All right, and if I scroll down, I'm already giving a security group. This is automatically created, so you don't have to worry about security group. We will talk about it in some time. And then if I go to EC2 instance profile, we will talk about these IAM roles that you will also need to create um, in your version, because without these instance roles you will not be able to run this demo. Okay, so I will go through that in a moment. And so that's pretty much it. So what we are doing is we are just creating a ECS cluster with the instance type of T2 small, and then after our ECS cluster is ready, what we are going to do is we'll grab an image, one of my image, and we will try and deploy our Docker image into our container. Okay, so, and if I go back to the terminal, so now run cd dot dot slash go to cloud formation, okay, where we have the files, which is our ECS EC2 with cloud formation YAML, and also readme. If I go to readme, I can so this is the command that I'm going to use to create our cluster inside our VPC. Okay, and also you can see that ECS type EC2, and then we are also passing this cloud formation template like we are doing it here, correct? So go back to the terminal and make sure you're in the Cloud Formation and just paste the command. Oops. Copy the command and paste it. Okay, so you can see here, right? So you can see here AWS Cloud Formation create stack. So we are going to create stack with ECS type EC2, and we are providing a Cloud Formation template. Okay, just hit enter, so it should be able to create your ECS cluster inside your um, um, core infrastructure. So you can see here, right? This is providing us with a stack ID. So if you go back to the Cloud Formation and hit refresh, you should be able to see our ECS EC2 type is in progress, in fact. So this is going to create our ECS cluster, okay, and this also has created a security group. And so let me go back to the resources again. So it might take some time, so I will come back after once the instance profile is created. Okay, I'm going to go to hub.docker.com. So I've already logged into my Docker hub. So you can see that I have a couple of images. So this is my latest image that I published like 3 days ago, which is this one, right? Gomurli/exp app 1, and the latest tag is number 2. Okay, so what I'm going to do is go back to the task definition where I want to create a task definition, right? So what is task definition? You can imagine this like a image where we want to run the containers based off this image, correct? So I'm gonna create a task definition family, which is going to be express app, maybe something simple, exp123. Okay, this is my task definition family. You can choose whatever name it suits to you. So I'm basically wanted to have a unique identifier. It really doesn't matter in my case, so I'm just putting exp/123. That's totally fine. So in the image URI, right, so I'm just gonna paste the Docker image that I have. This is my Docker image which is previously deployed, and now I'm going to use the latest tag, which is 2. So this is the image that I'm going to use to run my containers, right? So if I go back to my Docker image, so this is my image. So if you go to public view, I can see, just copy that, okay, and just paste it here and remove this Docker pull in the front and just put the latest tag, which is 2 in my case, okay, and I'm going to name this container, which is exp express app container. Okay, so the container port is 80, number 80, and that is the port that I'm exposing in my Docker image. So if I go to tag 2, right, so you can see this is the tag that this is the port that I'm trying to expose 80. Okay, and in your case, if you go back to this, you can see the container port is 80, and this is my container port, and also this is my image URL. So make sure this information is correct, otherwise you're gonna really have a tough time debugging this. Okay, so make sure your information is correct. You're having this task definition family, and now close this environment variables. I don't want to give any environment variables, no health checks, nothing. Okay, now click on next. And here just remove the AWS Fargate because we are using a Amazon EC2 instances. So select that, and this is the architecture that I'm using, and this is where my image was built, Linux x86-64. And if you're using very latest Mac, probably you'll have to use ARM64. So make sure which one works for you, basically. Okay, and remove this 1 GB, make this 1 GB because I don't need 3 GB. And if I go to container size, you can add the container. So this is my container, and CPU is 1, memory is 1, and then task role. Select the ECS container task execution role. So I've created this role. I'll walk you through these roles in a moment, and leave the bridge mode as it is. And this looks good. Storage, I don't want to use any storage at the moment, and no monitoring at the moment. And click on next. So you're in the review section where you can see this is my task definition family express123. So make sure you remember this name, exp-123, and this is my host port and protocol. And yeah, that looks good. And I'm using EC2 with 1 vCPU and 1 GB memory. All right, and go ahead and create it. So I've created my task definition successfully. This is my task definition. Okay, so basically, so this task definition, right? So you can use this task definition in your cluster. So if you go back to clusters and click your own cluster that you have created using Cloud Formation template and click on the infrastructure here, and no, maybe click on tasks and run a new task. Okay, so we are going to take our task definition and run this task. Okay, so select the launch type, which is going to be EC2 in our case, and select task and check the task family, which is in our case it's going to be exp123. Okay, I have whole bunch of other images, so don't worry about that. Make sure you select the right one, which is exp123, and the version 1 is the latest one. Okay, and desired task, I want to only run one task. You can put any number of tasks that you want, so for now I just want to put one for the simple exercise. Okay, and then tasks, scroll down and go to task placement. This should be fine. Task overrides, don't worry about task override for now. Container overrides, express app. You can choose your environment variables if you have. In this case, I'm not using any environment variables, so that's the reason why I'm just ignoring all these options and just giving the correct options. So the point is you'll have to understand this whole flow, then you can go ahead and experiment with other options. So this is the actual implementation, right? So now go ahead and click on create. Now that we have launched our tasks, okay, our task definition successfully created, and this one, and if I scroll down, right, you can see the last status is still pending. We are just running a task, so refresh it a couple of times, so you should be able to see our task, our container is actually running, right? So you can refresh a couple of times, you can see our task is running. Now click on the task, okay, this link which you are seeing here. You're still under your same cluster. Close these notifications, which is really disturbing. And if I, so this is the image that I've used, correct? And if I go to network bindings, you can see this is the host port, and you can see this is the external link that where you can access your app. Okay, now click on the open address. Okay, it takes a second, or maybe it's not loading the page because I don't know, something is wrong. Maybe check your security groups. How do you check your security group? So basically, if I go to my instance, right, this is my EC2 instance where our container is running. Now click on this EC2 and click on the image, click on the EC2 instance and go to the security tab here and click on the security groups that we have just created, right? So this app is not loading because this could be a problem with the security group. See, there is no inbound rules. So that is the reason why your app is just spinning forever, right? And come back to this tab and click on edit inbound rules, add a rule, and you can put some custom TCP, but in my case it's just I'm going to use all TCP because it allows the port range, wide port ranges, but this is not advisable because you cannot open all these ports into your EC2, right? It is a very, it's a big no. You cannot do that. You have to specify the port that you only want to allow the access in that port. Okay, do not use this range. For this demo purpose, I'm just using range because I don't know what number it was, the port number, so I'm just putting all TCP for now. Okay, and you understand the point, right? So make sure you don't allow this all ports. Okay, that is a big no. And now click on anywhere. Okay, so we are allowing access, and click on save rules. So there you go, you have updated your security group. Now if I refresh this page, or maybe I don't know, there's nothing here, just close this window again, go to the EC2 instance and go back to your ECS, go back to your cluster, which is this one, and click on your task. This is where it is running, and click on that. And now if you go to your network bindings, and this is the port that I was talking about, or maybe, yeah, just ignore it for now and click on open address. So there you go, this is my app which is running on the port 49153, and I have another endpoint which is /info, and there you go. So we are now able to see the application which is running inside our EC2 our container, right? So yeah, I hope you enjoyed, you liked this video. Please subscribe to my channel. I hope I will put more useful content on my channel, and just let's keep in touch. I'll create more content like this. But for now, go back to your ECS, and that's how you are running your container. Okay, and please give it a like. Don't forget to give a like and subscribe, so that will motivate me to make more videos. So please do it. Okay, thank you. And if I go to my details, or maybe if I go to the containers, and you also have to tear down all your infrastructure, right? So you cannot keep this running. This is just for demo, so just make sure you have you should be able to tear down all your created cluster, or maybe VPC, etc. Okay, and also make sure there might be a slight charges on your account, so I'm just warning you and giving a heads up. It might charge you a bit for creating this VPC, or for creating this ECS cluster with this EC2 type, which is T2 small. So make sure you have a little money in your Amazon account, and just put like $1 or $2, and then just run it for the time's sake, and then and then turn everything down. Okay, don't forget it, otherwise you will face a real tough time from Amazon, because they will be charging you on your account like hell. Okay, so I don't want you to end up in such a situation. So please make sure that you stop all your running instances, just delete your infrastructure, just delete your VPC and everything, so that you won't be charged a single penny. Okay, so and now go back to your cloud formation. I hope you understand, right? So this is what I wanted to make sure you understand this EC2 type. Okay, now I'm going to IAM, so the roles that I was talking about. So make sure you have these roles in place. Okay, so this is my roles, and type ECS here. Okay, so there are 4 different roles that I have created, which are 5 different roles. Okay, autoscaling role, instance role, ECS role. So if you're watching this video, and just go ahead and pause the video and watch, and try and create on your side as well. Okay, without these roles, your infrastructure may not be created, even though you copy the cloud formation template and stuff like that. Okay, so now I'm opening this in a new tab, ECS autoscaling group. So let's see what we have in that. ECS autoscaling role. I have created and attached a permission called Amazon EC2 Container Service Autoscale role. So basically, this is for autoscaling. So make sure you assign this, attach this permission to your ECS autoscaling role. So and that's it. You don't need to do anything else. So I'm just going to assume that you know how to do this. Okay. Right, and we will see the next roles that we want. So what is this ECS instance role? ECS instance role is nothing but we are giving the EC2 instance to deal with the ECS. So this is basically for our ECS agent, which is working inside our EC2 instance. So EC2 ECS agent is actually talking to ECS cluster, and that needs a permission from our EC that needs to allow the ECS agent to talk to this container service, right? So that's why I have assigned this role to our ECS instance role. So this is the role which has a permission of is Amazon EC2 container service for EC2 role. So make sure you create this. Okay, and now go back to ECS role. So click on that. We have also attached Amazon EC2 container service role. So make sure you have this role, ECS role, because your cloud formation template uses this roles, Amazon EC2 container service role. Okay, and ECS service role, and you have the permission ECS container service role. Make sure you have these roles once again, and click on ECS TS task execution role. So by the name itself, you will understand what kind of permissions we are giving to our ECS, right? So you can see Amazon ECS task execution role policy. We have assigned it to the ECS task execution role. So make sure you pause the video, create these roles, okay, and put it in your roles, okay, so that your cloud formation template will work, and you do not see any surprises. Okay, and coming back to the let me go to the so let's close these windows first, because it's very confusing. So just close this window, and if I go back to the EC2 instance, right, and make sure you have a key pair, which is this one, my ECS env. So just create key pair with the name my ECS env, because in my Cloud Formation template I was referring to this key pair. So just make sure that you do not end up in losing this, uh, breaking this, right? Okay, so that's it. And what I'm going to do next is we are going to use a ECS CLI. Okay, the video is not over yet. It's just a bit that I want to complete it. So in the CLI folder inside the ECS CLI, if you click on this readme, right, so I have a steps to create the ECS CLI. Okay, so make sure you install this ECS CLI. I have added the instructions here in the README CLI. Okay, and you can also configure the profile with your access key and with your secret key. Okay, so that you should be able to use your ECS CLI to point to your AWS. Okay, and make sure you also will be able to run these commands so that you will get the VPC and subnets that you have created and stored inside these variables, so that we will be using these variables in our ECS CLI, and we will create our own cluster. Okay, see, and this is where I'm using that key pair that I was talking about, right? So make sure you have this ECS env. Now let me go ahead and copy and run this command so that you will see, and paste this and enter. So it does nothing, right? And now if you run this echo commands and go back and paste it, so you should be able to see the current VPC that we are using. This is our own VPC, this is our own subnets, right? And now go ahead and run this command, which is ECS CLI. I've already installed, in my case I've already used ECS CLI, so that's why I don't need to create it and paste it. Okay, ECS CLI using CLI. So this is my cluster. Okay, I'm going to create a cluster. Basically, ECS CLI up, we are going to run a cluster, and this is the subnets that we are going to use: subnet 1, subnet 2. And where we are getting the subnets, we are getting it from here, because we have stored it in from here. And the launch type is EC2, and this is my key pair, and you have seen it where I've created this ECS CNV key pair, and this is my instance again, and I'm using my this is the cluster that I want to create. Okay, and now hit enter, and it takes a while to create this cluster and also spin up the T2 small instance. So I will get back once it creates the cluster. Okay, there you go. Now the cluster has been created successfully. All right, so you should be able to see this message if your instance of if your cluster is created, right? So go back to the console and go to your ECS. I'm using all the shortcuts on the page, so it might be quick for some people and it might be very slow for some people. So make sure you adjust the speed in the video, and click on this my EC2 env using CLI. So there's no task running yet. So in the infrastructure, I don't see my container instance running yet. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to wait for some time so that my ECS CLI, there will be one registered container instance that we were trying to spin up, right? And if I go to the Cloud Formation and let's see what's going on there, and let's see if the cluster is being created. So there you go. So it says the cluster is created, and resources, and you can see ECS instance profile. This is all our roles that we have created, if you remember. And stack info, there's nothing over here. Resources, outputs, events. So you can see all the events that are going on in here, and what are the security groups and roles that are being created and attached to our resources, right? And so it looks like all the resources are now finished. And refresh, go back to our Elastic Container Service and click on the cluster that we are using. So there you go. Now the registered container instance is 1 using CLI, and come to the infrastructure, and there you go. Our instance is now running. All right. So if I click on this one and go to your instance ID, so there should be two instances that should be running, right? So one is the one that we have created using the Cloud Formation template. Another one is using ECS CLI. So this is our ECS CLI. Now click on that, and the status is still initializing, and go to security group, and let's see what we have in the security group. All right, So you can see the port range is 80. Edit the inbound rules like we did, and go to all TCP, allow all the ports just for the demo, okay, and click on save rules. And there you go, we have saved our security group. And now go back to the cloud Elastic Container Service and go back to your using CLI, and the infrastructure is ready. And now what we're going to do is go ahead and click on the task definition, and we have created a task definition which is exp 123, and click on that. All right, and make sure that you already have the correct version, which is 1, and go to your cluster one more time using CLI tasks and run a new task, and select the launch type as EC2 and task, and now select the family, which is exp123, and the revision is 1, which is the latest one. All right, and then go to the task placement. You can ignore all of that. Create. There you go, you have now launched a task, and let's see in some time. Click refresh a couple of times, and you should be able to run your application task in some time. Yeah, there you go, it is running. And now click on the task, and like we did in the previous demo, now click on the network bindings, and this is the URL that you want to use. Click on open address, and there you go, this is our app, which is again serving up from a different container and from a different EC2 instance. And we have now have two different apps which are running in a two different EC2 instances and two different containers. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this video, and please don't forget to subscribe my channel. I'm trying to put more unique content on my channel. And so let's now look into tearing down all the instances that we have created and cloud using the Cloud Formation. Okay, go to your Cloud Formation, select the Cloud Formation, and select this stack that you have created and delete the stack. All right, so it is as simple as that. Select the ECS type EC2, select delete, and delete the stack, and select this one, core infrastructure, delete, and delete the stack. All right, so it is scheduled for deletion, so it may take some time, and just make sure that go and check whether your instances and your containers are being shut down or not after you deleted, right? And yeah, thank you so much, and I hope you like this video. Please like, share, subscribe, and please don't forget to hit that like button. And thank you so much. I will see you guys in the next video.